Welcome to Body Unified Flow. I'm your host, Dr. Marimuthu, and this is where we simplify complexity and amplify performance. Today, we're diving into a powerhouse concept, the relentless removal of waste. Now, this isn't just about tidying up. It's really the engine that creates a smooth, continuous flow of value straight to your customer. All right, let's jump right in. We've got a really clear path ahead. We're going to start with the philosophy of what waste truly is. Then we'll get into classifying the different types of inefficiency. After that, we'll do a deep dive into the 8 specific forms of process waste, learn how to make them visible, and finally, map out the strategies to get rid of them for good. Think of it as our roadmap to perfection. You know, by the end of our time together, you're going to have a powerful new lens to look through. We're not just here to memorize definitions. The goal is to fundamentally change how you see your own work, empowering you to spot and systematically crush inefficiency wherever it's hiding. Now, to really understand why this is so critical, let's just start with one single staggering number, 57%. According to the Construction Industry Institute, that's the share of non-value adding activities in a typical construction project. Just think about that for a second. More than half of all the time, money, and effort spent creates absolutely no value for the customer. That, right there, is the mountain we have to climb. So, how do we even begin to climb that mountain? Well, we start by completely redefining what we think of as waste. Seriously, forget what you think you know. This is so much bigger than just physical scrap in a dumpster. It's about everything, absolutely everything that gets in the way of delivering pure value. And here it is, the core lean definition. Waste, or Muda in Japanese, is any activity that eats up your precious resources, your team's time, your materials, your money, without creating any value. So who's the final judge of what has value? It's the customer. Simple as that. If they aren't willing to pay for it, you have to ask the tough question. Why in the world are we still doing it? Okay, so check this out. This table breaks down every single thing we do into one of 3 simple categories. First, you've got value-added activities. This is the good stuff, the transformations the customer actually wants and will pay for. Our goal? Maximize these. Second, necessary non-value-added activities. Things safety checks or regulatory reports. They don't add direct value, but, we have to do them, for now. So our goal is to minimize them. And third, non-value-added. This is just pure, unadulterated waste. Our mission here is clear. It's non-negotiable. We eradicate it. But here's the thing, and this is really important, waste doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's a symptom, a sign of a much larger system of inefficiency. And to become true masters of getting rid of it, we have to understand the system that creates it. Luckily, the Toyota production system masterfully classifies this as the 3 M's.
You see, true lean thinking means we have to attack all 3 of these enemies at once. We've been talking about Muda, the waste itself, but it's almost always caused by mura, or unevenness, and muri, which is overburdening our people and our systems. Think about it. An uneven workload, that's mura, leads to these frantic periods where we overwork people, that's muri, which then causes mistakes and burnout, creating defects and waiting, which of course is classic Muda. See? If we only focus on Muda, we're just playing whack-a-mole with symptoms, not carrying the disease.
Now, while all 3 M's are vital, Muda is the most visible enemy, so that's where we're going to start our hunt. Let's break down its 8 distinct forms, and to help us remember them, we're going to use the acronym downtime. First up, the D in downtime is for defects. This is any work that's wrong and needs to be fixed, reworked, or just thrown away. Every single moment your team spends correcting a mistake is a moment they aren't creating new value. It's basically like paying for the same job twice, and it absolutely kills morale and momentum. Next, O is for overproduction. A lot of people call this the mother of all wastes because it gives birth to so many others. It means producing more, or sooner, or faster than what the very next step in the process, or your customer, actually needs right now. It's the poison of just in case. W stands for waiting. This is any idle time. Plain and simple. It could be a person waiting for approval, a machine waiting for a part, or a piece of software waiting for data. Waiting is a giant flashing red light. It's a clear signal that your flow is broken and value has stopped moving. The N in downtime is a more modern but absolutely critical addition, non-utilized talent. This is the tragic waste of not engaging the full brain power, skills, and creativity of your team. When we don't listen to the people doing the actual work, we're not just being disrespectful, we're throwing away our single greatest source of ideas for improvement. T is for transportation. This means any unnecessary movement of products, materials, or even information. Every time something is moved, there's a risk of it being delayed, damaged, or lost, and none of that movement adds a single drop of value for the customer. All right, now for I, inventory. This is any supply that you have in excess of what's immediately needed for smooth one-piece flow. That pile of extra stuff doesn't just tie up cash and take up space, it also acts like water in a lake, hiding all the dangerous rocks underneath, problems like unreliable suppliers or machine breakdowns.
M is for motion. This one's a little more subtle, but so powerful. While transportation is about moving things, motion is about the unnecessary movement of people. Every time a technician has to walk across the room for a tool, or a doctor has to search through disorganized files, that's the waste of motion. It's movement that only adds fatigue, not value.
And finally, E is for extra processing. This is doing more work than the customer actually requires. It's the redundant approval steps, the reports nobody reads, the features nobody uses. It's basically polishing a product well beyond what the customer values, adding complexity and cost for absolutely no benefit. Okay, so now we have our downtime checklist. We know exactly what we're looking for, but how do we actually find it? Well, here's the trick. Waste is a master of disguise. It's usually hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the way we've always done things. To spot it, we need to develop a new skill, seeing with lean eyes. And this quote just captures the philosophy perfectly with the Japanese lake analogy. First, you have to visualize your work to see the obvious waste floating on the surface. But the real problems, the big ones, are hidden under the water. So what do? You have to strategically lower the water level by reducing inventory or shortening lead times. This makes the system more vulnerable on purpose, forcing those hidden rocks to finally surface so you can see them and deal with them. And look at how this plays out in real life. This diagram shows that waste is rarely a single event. It creates this toxic chain reaction. Watch this. A single defect right here doesn't just stay put. It immediately triggers a cascade of other wastes. The next person in line is now waiting. The bad part needs extra transportation to go back for rework, and you're forced to use buffer inventory to hide the problem from the customer. One tiny failure just rippled through the entire system, multiplying its damage along the way. So, seeing the waste, that's the first huge breakthrough. But it's not enough to just see it. We need a disciplined, systematic process for actually eliminating it for good, so we can clear the path for that smooth, uninterrupted flow of value we're after. This four-step cycle is your engine for continuous improvement. It always starts with going to the gemba, the actual place where the work happens. You can't solve problems from a conference room. Second, you dig deep to find the root cause, maybe by asking why 5 times. You have to get past the symptoms. Third, you implement a smart countermeasure, often using something called poka-yoke, or mistake proving, to make it physically impossible for the error to happen again. And finally, you standardize that new, better process. That locks in your gains and creates a new, higher baseline to improve from next time. And that really brings us to the most important mindset shift of all. You have to understand that removing waste isn't a project with a start and end date. It's a fundamental transformation of your culture. It's a daily commitment, a continuous, never-ending journey toward an ideal state of perfection. So let's do a quick recap. We've redefined waste through the sharp eyes of the customer. We've learned to classify all work into 3 distinct buckets to focus our efforts. We've understood that to really win, we have to battle not just the waste itself, Muda, but its root causes, Muda and Mudi. And most importantly, we've seen that making waste visible is that first critical step to creating unstoppable flow. And with that, we've hit all our learning objectives for today. You are now armed with the fundamental knowledge to define waste, classify activities, identify the 3 M's, describe the 8 wastes of downtime, and you understand the core methods for bringing that waste out of the shadows. This is a seriously powerful new framework for improving any process you touch. So, I'll leave you with this challenge. You now have the lens. You can see the waste that's all around you, hiding in plain sight. The only question that's left is, what are you going to do with this new superpower? What is the very first waste you are going to eliminate? Thank you for joining me on Bodhi Unified Flow. Until next time, keep simplifying complexity and amplifying performance.